Hola, soy Oscar Bazán, jugador del Perú, y le quiero dar las gracias al Canadá. Hello, I'm Oscar, and I play for Peru, and I'd like to thank Canada for hosting these World Championships.
Prime Network presents the world's best racquetball. Today, from the city of Anjou in Quebec, Canada, 31 nations have gathered to compete for the Mondial Light World Racquetball Championships, featuring the #1 singles finals of the team competition, matching Canada's Heather Stupp against the USA's Michelle Gould and Canada's Mike Cerisi against the United States' Tim Sweeney. Hi everybody, I'm Lee Felsmo. I'll be bringing you today's play-by-play, joined by two of the best in the business of racquetball. That's 7-time world champion Lynn Adams and Jim Heiser, who, among other things, is the International Commissioner on the Rules for the IRF. And Jim, when we look at this team competition at the World Championships, we're talking about singles competing for their team, for their nations. Who are the top nations as we get to this point?
Well, right now we have United States, Canada, Mexico, Japan, and Costa Rica all playing off for that coveted World Championship.
Okay, the United States is the defending champion. Jim will join us for some more insight to the men's finalists, but let's go to Lynn Adams right now. As I mentioned, 7-time world champion. This gal knows how to play the game, and we have two of the best, Lynn, in the women's singles competing for the team championship.
Between the two of them, they have dominated world international competition. Heather is the current 2-time world champion. Michelle, the World Championship is the only championship that she doesn't have. She holds all the other titles. So it's going to be a real tough matchup between two players that come up head-to-head very well against each other.
Well, Heather Stupp playing in her own country here, Canada, will have a lot of support, as you mentioned. Let's take a look at how she got to this point. Who does she have to play?
Well, in her beginning rounds, she played Korea, she played the Dominican Republic, and she played Great Britain. No one scored over 7 points on her in those beginning rounds. Then in her quarterfinals, she played Ireland, and then she had a tough match against Japan in her semifinals. Almost lost the first game. She ended up winning 15-13, and then was in control the second game, but kind of showed a few weaknesses in there that Michelle is going to try to exploit.
All right, well, now Michelle Gould now is going to try to get that world title back. Let's take a look at how she got to this finals. She, of course, looking to avenge 2 years ago in Caracas when Heather beat her. But how did Heather get to this, or how did Michelle get to this point?
In Michelle's early rounds, she had Holland, she had Italy, Chile, and Venezuela. No one scored over 4 points. And then in her quarterfinals, she played Costa Rica, and in her semis, she played Mexico, with their scores being 0 and 2. So she's been very dominant coming into this final match.
Michelle is very healthy right now. What will Heather have to do to beat Michelle?
First of all, Heather's going to have to get to the serves, and that is not Heather's strong point, is getting to the serve. Once Heather's inside the rally, she's very effective because she can change paces, and that's what you have to do against Michelle. You can't just hit everything low and hard at Michelle because she'll eat you up. So if Heather can get to the serves and put the ball into play, then she's got a good chance.
All right, well, Jim Heiser along with Lynn Adams and I will be back in a moment to the Nullis Plus Complex, court #1. We're looking toward the finals. The team is trying to win the World Cup trophy. It's a beauty. We'll be back in just a moment. Subscribe to Racquetball Magazine for $15 a year and receive 6 action-packed issues filled with racquetball news, tournament coverage, current national rankings, and national tournament calendars. You'll also become a member of the American Amateur Racquetball Association and receive your competitive license, an official AARA rulebook, and a free can of Penn racquetballs. Call 1-800-234-5396 today for Racquetball Magazine, the very best magazine about your favorite sport. Check in for your next match carrying a bag just like the one the United States national team members use, and let your opponents wonder about your new training methods. Take to the court wearing an official insignia of USA Racquetball on a 100% cotton polo and watch your gallery grow. Official AARA logoed clothing and accessories may not truly help your game improve, but they will get you noticed on and off the court. For prices or to order by credit card, call 1-800-234-5396. Want a closer look at Tim Sweeney's ace service motion? How about a bird's eye view of the power and accuracy of Michelle Gilman? Well, with the AARA Championship Racquetball Videotape Series, you can bring these 5 performances of national champions into your home. Use them for reference or just to enjoy. Grasp the fine points of court positioning in singles and in doubles. Discover the excitement of world-class racquetball. Dozens of national and international matches are available, and to order, all you have to do is call 1-800-234-5396 today. If you've been having problems with your racquetball game lately, here's a solution. Get back to basics with a 2-part instructional series, Learn Your Lessons, Part 1, with Fran Davis and Stu Hastings, or Perry Practice Drills with Connie Martin and Jim Heiser. Let the experts guide you through proper stroke mechanics, court positioning, shot making, and practice sessions. It's easy to learn how to play, improve, and win at racquetball right in your home. To order, call 1-800-234-5396. Welcome back to Racquetball Plus in Anjou in Quebec, Canada. It's the World Championships. The United States trying to regain the crown that they won in Caracas, Venezuela 2 years ago. But along the way to that championship, there was a very difficult match for #1 women's singles player Michelle Gilman. She is matched up now with that competitor, Heather Stupp from Canada, who actually beat her in the singles. I'm Lee Felsmo along with Jim Heiser and Lynn Adams. Lynn, that was something on the minds. That was a very emotional and dramatic win for Heather Stupp 2 years ago. Both of these players have that first and foremost in their mind, I think.
Yes, even though this is for the team championship, these are 2 intense competitors right here, and they are definitely thinking that they want to get one up on the other before they go into the individual competitions next week.
Heather Stupp gets the first serve in game 1. You've got to win 3 games. And Jim Heiser, why don't you go over the basic rules of competition?
Well, a little bit different in international racquetball is you have 3 games, and the tiebreaker internationally is 15 points, where the tiebreaker in the United States and Canada are always 11 points. All the other rules are basically the same. You have 2 serves. If the first serve is a fault, you do have a second serve.
Side out on the first serve for Heather Stupp, and now this is Michelle Gould's first service attempt in game 1, and her second serve coming up. First one was short.
That's something that is really going to be effective against Michelle if Heather can keep doing this throughout the match, is that she's real good at pinching the ball, which moves Michelle forward. Michelle doesn't move real quick going forward.
Heather Stupp, 5'4", of course, in the Canadian red and white. Her gets her first point of game 1 and of this match. And of course, Michelle Gould, a little bit taller, increased range, difficult to get a ball past her.
Well, she has incredible reach, and she does something that I've never seen any men do, in that she can be totally stretched out, and just with her wrist, the ball will go about 8 million miles an hour. And it's an amazing sight to see.
She's 5'11", tremendously powerful stroke. There's the forehand side out, but Heather Stupp leads right now 1-0 in game 1. How important is this game 1, Lynn, when you're talking about the pressure that's on just a 3-game series here in a world championship?
Oh, goodness. Both players definitely want to come out to a strong start. This is not the type of match where you want to kind of ease into things and get into it maybe a little bit later. If either one of them were to do that, it can be over at that point, because they're both such intense competitors.
Jim, you work with this national team. What are the telltale signs of Michelle Gilman's serve being on? What do we look for?
Well, Michelle usually has a very consistent serve. Her first serve usually has a high percentage of times it's in. And I think if she can establish her serve, because Heather in earlier rounds had trouble with the Japanese when they had a good first serve.
What's interesting about Michelle that's different than all the other players is that if she misses her first serve, she drives serves on her second serve and puts just as much pressure on you with her second serve as her first.
Short serve. Heather Stupp serving and leading 1-0 here in game 1 early on, but we've had 4 side outs so far. So they're in that feeling out process, just trying to get comfortable on the court. Skip ball, point number 2. Heather Stupp leads 2-0.
I'll be real interested to see how much variety comes out of Heather, and that is her basic game plan, is to do a lot of variety, a lot of change of pace. Ooh, what a rally.
Let's pick up the action a little later on in the women's competition. 10-5 the score. Michelle Gilman looking to wrap this one up if she can just get a little 5-point rally going here. Heather Stupp called the timeout, trying to change possibly something, to change the momentum, I guess, first and foremost.
Well, hopefully she went through her mind what she thinks she could do at this point to change things around. She needs to do something very drastic as far as her strategy. I think what Jim said earlier is that, you know, she needs to be going into the side wall and jamming Michelle on a lot more consistent basis. And that's a perfect angle for a pass. It goes into the side wall, cuts in behind Heather. She has no chance to get the ball. It's called a V pass.
Michelle Gilman with 11-5 score has gotten the last 3 straight points. It was 8-5 at one point. Heather Stupp was within 3 in game 1, but 3 straight for Michelle, and she is in control. Ooh, skip ball, I think is the call, and we are in a great vantage point to see that. Right down on the floor, and I think indeed it was a skip ball.
Yes, I would agree.
Well, I think Heather was so surprised at them. It was a bad serve.
Yeah.
First one in the whole game.
This big juicy setup, and it's like, what do I do with this?
12 serving 5.
Well, all Heather was doing was retrieving in that rally.
Just stabbing at the ball, trying to keep it in play. Michelle very, very aggressive, pounding the ball at her. Michelle is so relentless when she plays. She will always put pace on the ball. So Heather just kind of dinks it up there and dinks it up again. She was trying to go for a little shot down on the front part of the wall and just couldn't make it.
So the score 13-5 in game 1. What's tough, I guess, about those off-pace shots is you really need to be in a good flow to have the off-speed stuff going, and Heather hasn't had a chance to get a lot of strokes to get comfortable.
In order for the off-pace to be effective, you have to hit it hard also. Otherwise, it does no good. Michelle just served an ace.
And now she's within 1 point of game number 1.
Heather is appealing. Disagree?
She has had 6 straight points since she got the serve back at 8-5. It was 8-5, and she has rattled off 6 straight to reach game point for Michelle Gould.
Serves 5.
In international rules, you get 5 appeals. And I believe that was Heather's first appeal.
Court serve.
Jim, do you get 5 per game or 5 per match?
5 per game.
Okay.
It'll be interesting because the IRF also changed another rule that next year in international racquetball, you can appeal hinders and avoidable hinders.
Ooh, that could get exciting.
So the International Racquetball Federation making some moves to make their game more appealing.
Down. Point. Game.
Point in game for Michelle Gould. She wins 15-5 in game 1. She's got to win 2 to win this singles victory as we look at Michelle.
Well, Heather had a wonderful opportunity right here, and she did a good pinch, and she was a little surprised that Michelle was able to stretch out that long body and get the ball back. Michelle made a real good play, scored the point.
So game 1 is over. Lynn Adams and Jim Heisner will be back as we look at Michelle Gould doctoring up her racket. We'll be back with more of our World Championships. 1 game to go for Michelle and hopefully 2 for Heather Stupp. So we're all set for game number 2, and a short stoppage in play, but the first game won by Michelle Gould, 15-5. It was close in the first part of that game. It was 2-0 Heather Stupp, and then 8-5 with Heather scoring 2 points to get back to within 3 points. But then Michelle Gould got the serve, never gave it back. She reeled off 7 straight points and won 15-5.
If I was Heather at this point, knowing that Michelle is serving so well, Jim mentioned it earlier, you have to take a gamble and you have to guess. You have to be moving towards the serve before the serve is even hit, because she's that precise right now. She can't just wait and see where it's going yet.
Well, that was kind of a lucky shot by Michelle. She just kind of flicked that off the back wall.
1. Wait.
You can see how she got jammed on it. It was inside, and she just got a little bit lucky on that shot.
So the early lead of Michelle Gould, and maybe Arlen Adams can talk to Coach Jim and see what he came up with during the break.
I'm with Jim Winterton, and Jim, you and Michelle had quite a lengthy discussion in between the two games. What was going on?
Well, we just talked about how Heather's playing back, and Michelle knows that Heather's playing back. And again, like I mentioned before, the pinch is over, but Michelle's winning this way. We also talked a little bit about her serve. She doesn't feel totally comfortable with the serve. We worked on a few things during the week, keeping her weight back slightly, so that her center of gravity is back a little more, so she can get her serve in better. And that's really about it. Just a few little adjustments. She's on a roll. Everything's looking great at this point.
Yeah, I wish that my serve went in as poorly as Michelle's serve goes in.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks, Jim.
Second.
I think it's interesting, Leaf, because the U.S. team has really taken a sophisticated approach to this championships. Not only do they have a head coach and an assistant coach, but they also have a team manager who was in there wrapping up the equipment at halftime, and they also brought a sports psychologist for the very first time in international competition.
Well, the score right now,
Point.
as Michelle Gilman rolls off a couple early in the match, is
Call the
2.
serve good.
Calling the serve good. There's an objection on that play, an appeal, but 2-0 as it stands now with Michelle leading. Here's the serve that was objected to or appealed by Heather Stupp. Looked like it was right over the line, Jim.
It was very difficult to tell from that angle, but it did look good.
Well, I'm down here with Gary Ness, who's the coach of the Canadian team. And Gary, what did you and Heather talk about in between games of what you think Heather needs to do to change the momentum of this match around?
Well, we agreed that her basic strategy to try and move Michelle around is the correct one. However, a couple of things that could be adjusted. She's not playing return of serve well right now. She's trying to get it before it hits the back wall because she's afraid with the change of direction she'll lose it in the sidewall glass. But in fact, it's probably coming far enough out that she could step up and shoot it. The other thing that I told her to use was to generate more power. She's actually not. She's pushing the ball a bit too much, and she actually has a lot of power. Not quite as much as Michelle, but certainly in that league. And so I told her to use it and start hitting the ball freely like she was playing me.
Do you think, is this the kind of power that she's used to playing, or is this a little overwhelming to her right now?
Well, I would think that for most players, Michelle's power is a little overwhelming. And I think that's certainly a problem. Although Heather practices a lot with top male players, and so she's pretty used to it. She certainly adjusts well to it, as well as anyone I know.
Let's pick up the action a little later on in the women's competition. We're in game 2, 11-2 the score. Michelle Gould now in firm control, even though the last 2 points were scored by Heather Stupp. Heather has a long way to go to get back in this one. The first game won by Michelle 15-5. This will be her second serve at 11-2.
Second.
It's interesting in this game. Michelle has made as many points on pass shots as she has on kill shots.
Side out, Heather gets it back.
Well, you want to have a good combination of passes and kills because that keeps your opponent off balance. She goes for a cross-court pass here, leaves it way too high, and that allows Heather a chance to put the ball into the corner. She's still breathing.
She's breathing at 2-11, but in the last 5 rallies, she's won 4 of them.
At this point, you just have to kind of pick away a little bit at a time. You're not going to score, obviously, 5 points all in one shot. So you don't want to think in terms of, I've got to hurry up and make it up. You want to think in terms of one at a time. There's one right there.
Well, she's got something going for herself. 3-11.
And I'm sure Jim was shaking his head over there. She did a nice high lob into the side glass, which was very effective. Gave Heather the setup.
Well, what do you think? You think Mr. Winterton should be considering a timeout at this time?
Yeah, Michelle is so aware of where she is in a match that she will not let too much time go by before she calls a timeout. Ooh, pretty ace. That was perfect, perfect placement.
4 serves 11.
4 serving 11, and Heather Stupp has done very well over the last 6 rallies. That's a side out back to Michelle Gould. Only 4 points from the match for Michelle.
Gary Ness was yelling at Heather from outside the court. I don't know if he wanted a timeout or appeal that last shot.
11 serves 4.
I'll go find out. Gary, you were just yelling at Heather. What was it that you wanted to tell her?
Heather's getting far too far forward, and in the rallies that she's doing well, she's sitting back further and sticking it in the corners. Her basic strategy has been to pass a little bit more, and I think what's happened is that she can adjust. And that's right. She's just sticking in the corner and staying back now.
That's excellent advice. Thanks.
So Heather gets the ball back for the serve.
Yeah, just what Gary was saying, that before she was playing too far forward, and this is where she's effective, is just poking the ball right into the corner. And as we're speaking of it, she did it.
It's 12-4 from the World Championships, and we'll be back in just a moment as we continue. Michelle Gould well in front of Heather Stupp.
From Echelon, the most recommended name in racquetball, comes Playing Smart, an exciting new instructional video. A must for anyone who is serious about improving their game. Playing Smart gives you winning game strategies and tips from 8 of the world's top professional players. To order, call 1-800-2TX Monday through Friday between 7 and 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Playing Smart is only $19.95, and the call is free.
The preparation, the training, the work of a lifetime. It all comes down to a single moment, now captured in 3 gleaming legal tender Olympic coins, produced by the United States Mint. You can own a treasured memory of Olympic competition and help our U.S. Olympic team on the road to victory. To order these official 1992 U.S. Olympic coins, call 1-800-572-TEAM and celebrate the glory of the games today.
Crowd here at Nautilus Plus in Anjou, just outside of the Montreal area in Canada. The home country for the Canadian team as they try to beat this young lady, Michelle Gould. She's in front 12-4. I'm Lee Felsmo along with Jim Heiser and Lynn Adams. And we are down to the nail-biting time if you're a Canadian. Michelle Gould has won the first game 15-5. She got off to an 11-0 lead in game 2. And over the last 10 minutes, Heather Stupp has done a good job. It is now 12-4. But Heather has really gotten some confidence back, Lynn. Every time I say that, Michelle nails one.
Well, I think that confidence is a little bit too late, actually. Michelle is a tough player to come back on. You have to have everything working in your favor. You have to be real precise in what your goals are and to execute the shots that you're making, because Michelle is not going to make it easy for you. She's not going to miss her shots all that often.
And by losing this match, if Heather does, this is really going to put Canada in a hole, a real big hole that I don't know if they can climb out of. This is the 4th match, or this is the 5th match. That means they will have lost 5 out of the 10 matches, which means they'll have to win every other match to beat the Americans.
Well,
tough order, especially in the next match that we'll be featuring in this broadcast. You'll have Tim Sweeney against Mike Cerisi, and Sweeney has never lost to Cerisi.
Point.
Sweeney, one of the young rising stars. And a point match right there. Michelle Gould wins it very dramatically, but very confidently. 15-4. She won game 1 15-5. Here's how she did it.
Well, here's another one of those very, very precise serves, just right over the line. Heather can't get her racket behind the ball. It just kind of poofs up there. And Michelle, I think that is the best I have seen you serve in a long, long time.
Thank you. I've really been working on the serving because I knew it was going to be a big factor here to keep her off balance right from the start. And I'm really working hard on making the 3-shot rallies something that I'm known for. And to do that, I've got to get a great serve in.
Now, you are possibly going to play her again next week in the individual championships if you both make the finals. I know that this is a little bit of a revenge from last championships in Caracas, but is it the individual what you're really striving for at this point now?
At this point, yes. Hopefully we will lock up the team competition today and the U.S. will remain the world champions. And then from that point, we start right back over again and start the tournament for next week for the individual titles.
You've had a couple injuries this past season, and I know it affected you your body a lot. You looked very strong out there. Do you feel like you're back 100%?
Physically not back 100%, but mentally I think I'm a lot tougher than I ever was before. I think it's really made me bear down and become more confident in the things that I do have now and concentrate on my strengths instead of the weaknesses. I'm a little less flexible and I don't rotate as much. So right now those are the two things I'm working on getting back.
We should all rotate so bad when we play racquetball.
Friday night.
Boy, that sure changes up a lot of strategy to only get one serve. That'll be real interesting to see.
Tim Sweeney, Missouri state champion in 1992. Also, and this year he was the intercollegiate champion. Third in the open division of the singles in Houston. So when you talk about Tim Sweeney, Jim Heiser, most competitors say that he doesn't have any big flaws. He can play a lot of different styles and all of them pretty well.
The only flaw Tim has, if he does have any, is that Tim has a tendency to let up.
I call the serve good. There's been an appeal. A replay.
Otto Dietrich getting
served by
an
Tim
appeal on the
Sweeney.
serve.
We couldn't see it on the replay.
Hold on a second, please. Score is 3, serving 0.
Good look at Ceresia. He's getting in the hole early on. Well, he made all the hard parts.
I talked to Mike as he was getting ready for this match, and he says, I have to save face for Canada here. I got to evade a skunk. Right now, the Canadian team is on a skunk. They haven't won one of the matches with the United States team.
This individual play contributes to a team competition, and that's what we are featuring in our Prime Network coverage here. The United States looks very good to win the team competition. They would be defending their world title from Caracas in 1990. A win here could do it, could lock it in, and that's what Sweeney is putting his effort into, the hopes that he will bring the championship back to the United States.
This is a big match for Tim Sweeney. Also, Tim's had some unfortunate personal experiences in the last 2 or 3 months. His dad just died about a month ago, and his dad really, really wanted to see Tim win a world championship because that's the only championship he hasn't seen Tim win. And so prior to this game, Tim said this was for his dad.
Pretty emotional statement. It's been a very emotional year, as you touched on, for a young kid with the ability of Tim Sweeney. He's handled it well. He's had some other things go on. His girlfriend was in a terrible car accident. So he's dealt with a lot this year.
Mike left it up again off the back wall, and Tim just put it right into the corner. Ceresia right now seems to be pushing a little bit too hard. Usually Mike has an off-pace game, and he's really trying to play power right now with Tim Sweeney.
Second serve.
Both players 5'8", around 155. So they match up well that way. Both right-handers. Ceresia, always a vocal player. Timeout call by Mike Ceresia. He is down 6-0 in game 1. Tim Sweeney off to a very dramatic lead. You play to 15, you got to win 2 games. Right now, it's all Tim Sweeney. We'll be back to Anjou, outside of Montreal in Canada. It's the World Racquetball Championships. Stay with us.
Subscribe to Racquetball magazine for $15 a year and receive 6 action-packed issues filled with racquetball news, tournament coverage, current national rankings, and national tournament calendars. You'll also become a member of the American Amateur Racquetball Association and receive your competitive license, an official AARA rulebook, and a free can of Penn racquetballs. Call 1-800-234-5396 today for Racquetball Magazine, the very best magazine about your favorite sport.
Own a piece of Olympic history with these 1992 U.S. Olympic legal tender commemorative coins. Call 1-800-572-TEAM to order. The magic and energy of competition has been captured in 3 gleaming, memorable coins from the United States Mint, which can be yours for as little as $7.50 for the uncirculated $half. Support your Olympic team and celebrate the glory of the Games by ordering your U.S. Olympic coins today. Call 1-800-572-TEAM.
We're in game 1 of the men's #1 matchup. #1 players from each country. Sweeney in the blue shorts, Ceresia in the red. They're playing for their countries, Canada against the United States, for the team competition of this year's World Racquetball Championships. It's 6-0 in favor of the U.S. in blue, and now Ceresia gets a side out. He called a timeout moments ago, and he has a chance to get his first points on the board. Skip ball, and he does score first. Now that timeout he called, I guess you just guessed that he would try to change some things, get a little more aggressive in his serve. Anything specific that would come to your mind, Lynn?
Well, I think the reason he took his timeout, he was a little frustrated with Otto, and he needed to just go regroup again and not be focused on certain calls that he didn't like and focus more on the game itself. And that, I think, was the point of that particular timeout.
Now his serve definitely doesn't look to have the power of the Sweeney serve. So what will he be trying to do with his serve, Jim?
Well, Mike Ceresia has a slice serve. He's one of the few players in professional racquetball that uses it effectively. He'll slice that forehand serve on the especially on Tim's right side. And unfortunately, the last one hit the wall and came out. But it'll be effective sometime during this game.
Well, we'll check his serve as he tries to get back into this one. It's 6-1 right now with Sweeney serving. Sweeney has 5 appeals. Otto reminds him, but that serve was called short. He's serving at 6-1. This is his second serve. Sweeney racks up point number 7.
What Tim's doing is he's using the glass a lot. He's putting the ball sharply into the glass on angles. There's one angle right there, and all Mike can do is put it back up. He's going to put the ball into the glass again. There's another angle, and it just keeps Mike a little bit off balance, and now Tim gets a real nice setup, and he puts it away.
Score is 7, serving 1.
Otto Dietrich reminds us the score is 7-1 in game 1. You've got to win 2 to come away with a title. In the team competition, Jim, there are several trophies up for grab, gold medals. You've got the team competition, but then it's broken down men's and women's.
There's an individual men's team championship and an individual women's team championship. And interestingly enough, the Canadians and the United States tied 2 years ago in the men's competition, and it was the women who actually was the deciding factor, and they pulled it out for the United States.
And this year,
Let's hear it for the women, yeah.
Lynn Adams rooting them on. This year they've already sewn up, the USA women have. Their part of the team competition. It's up to Sweeney here to ice it for the men.
And actually, all he has to do is win 1 game. If they win 1 game here, then the United States has won the team competition.
Ceresia gets the serve back. Looks like he's picking a different location, Lynn.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Looks like he's picking a different location for his serve.
He was doing what we call a walking serve. Anytime you have motion on your serve, it creates a little bit more deception, get a little bit more power coming in behind the serve. It's a great angle for a Z serve also, which is taking advantage of that glass situation.
That one ricochets off the leg of Ceresia.
We're even now, Hinder.
Otto.
That wasn't...
Otto Dietrich repeating what the people in the crowd were repeating, that they're even, as if it was a bad call, but That ball was definitely, I think, an accurate call. It was just directly in front of him?
It was directly in front of him, yes. So technically, the first time around, Tim probably should have gotten an avoidable called on him, and this time Mike should have gotten an avoidable call on him.
But one of the things that they do at this level is that they do jump up when the other person is behind him. They don't move all the way over to the side. And Mike jumped up, but Tim's shot was about 3 foot high.
Side out. Serve back to Tim Sweeney as they dry the court off.
Cross-court pass that Mike was able to retrieve, go back to the ceiling. And Mike just couldn't get to that. That glass seems to be affecting Mike a little bit. He's just one step behind those shots.
Yeah, you can see just a slight hesitation, like he's really not sure where the ball is quite yet, and then he has to go on reaction time. That's a tough way to play, especially when the ball's coming at you 180 miles an hour.
We'll be back with more of our Racquetball World Championships in just a moment.
Hi, welcome to the World Championships in Montreal, Canada. I'm with the Irish team and I'm having a fantastic time. It's been a great experience.
Serving
The score 3-9 in Siresia, 3 straight points.
In these last 3 points, he has changed up the pace of his serves. He's put some slice and some spin on it, and it's there's a nice change right there.
Every time you say that, Lynn.
I know. Why don't I keep my mouth shut? Tim goes, so what? I'm rolling it. But that's what he has to do. That's what Mike needs to do to stay in this match.
He shot that from his shoulders.
That's so tough.
Score is 9, serving 3.
Not a textbook shot, just a winning one.
No, 2 bounces.
Well, that wasn't one of Tim's smarter shots of this rally.
Come on, Swedes!
Let's take a look at it.
Well, you didn't see Tim's earlier shot. It was kind of a half-speed overhead reverse pinch.
Score is 3.
Well, Mike Siresia, definitely one of the better players in the Canadian Tour, but he wasn't always the #1 guy. The #1 singles player for some time has been Sherman Greenfeld, and he's over here with Lynn Adams with an injury on the sideline watching his team try to compete against the U.S. He has been so tough for so long. Lynn, why don't you introduce us to what his current problem is?
Well, Sherman has been such a big factor in Canadian racquetball, and I know it's very frustrating to be sitting on the sidelines right here, but you know Mike's game better than anybody, and he's starting to make a comeback. What does he need to do to make sure that he is not playing in Tim's game style?
Well, I was just talking to the coach and saying Mike's game is similar to mine in a lot of off speed and cut shots, and he uses that slice serve on his forehand. It's very effective, as you can see, because he's getting a lot of weak returns off Tim, and he's now getting some chances to put the ball away, and consequently he's come back in this match. But I think to do well against Tim, he can't go power and power against Tim, because that's what Tim plays with on the tour. I think Mike's got to go off pace and off speed, and I think he'll be a lot more successful.
Well, and at the beginning of the game, that's what he was doing. He was playing power for power, and it wasn't the Mike Siresia that we usually see.
No, Mike was overpowering the ball, and like you say, it's not his style. You got to stay within your own game and not. He was basically playing right into Tim's hands. now he's getting the confidence and he's playing the off speed. And once he realizes that, he's a smart enough player that he'll continue to do it, and hopefully he'll come out with the match.
Okay, well, we hope you heal fast and you come back soon, okay?
Thanks, Lynn.
All right.
Score is 5, serving 9.
All right, Lynn Adams, 5-9. Serve back to Mike Ceresia, who has answered the challenge here. It was 9-1 at a certain point in this match, and this game 1, and now it's 9-5. So he has definitely made his game a little more effective.
Well, he's been using the slice serve to Tim's backhand the last 4 or 5 times, and he has got a weak return. And if you really watch Mike when he hits that ball, he'll slice right down on it and put overspin on it.
Well, it's a good lesson in that you play your game, you play your strengths. You don't play how the other guy plays. That's not always the most effective way to do it.
Ceresia gets in the way of his own shot, and at 9-6 it'll be Tim Sweeney with the serve. Timeout. Looks like a timeout called by Tim Sweeney. Let's take a look at this last side out.
Yeah, they had a real long rock'em sock'em rally, and I think Mike was expecting Tim to put away his last shot.
A nice backhand get by Mike.
I think this is the shot he was expecting him to put away, and Tim hit it really poorly and hit it way too high, and that wasn't the shot he was thinking was going to happen.
So at 6-9 now with Sweeney serving, it'll be 9 serving 6. We'll be back with game 1 action in one moment. We're in the #1 men's finals and team competition for the World Racquetball title.
Bienvenidos al 6º Mundial de Racquetball aquí en Montreal, Canadá. Yo soy Manuel Medina, delegado de Venezuela. Gracias.
Ceresia really made a move here. It was 9-1 at one point. He has scored the 5 last points. And now Sweeney got the serve back. It'll be critical for him to reestablish himself here in game 1.
And he can't let the change of pace and the slice affect him as much as it has. He needs to go ahead and just pound through the ball still, take his shots, not rush his shots, which is what tends to happen when somebody throws the slice at you, but stay down on the ball. Oh, nice get.
Unbelievable range by Sweeney, but look at that hit by Ceresia. Beautiful rally.
Well, there was one shot in here where I don't know if we're going to see it or not, that comes off the back wall, and Tim had a setup, and he was only about a foot behind Mike Ceresia.
But that was a tremendous get that you would think might a little bit demoralize or offset the concentration of Ceresia, but he right away answered that with a little roll out to the front wall.
Flat. If I was Tim, knowing that Mike is playing so close in front of him and jumping over his shots, I would purposefully not go for my kill shot and hit my shot high and go for hitting the bottom of Mike's feet and try to get the avoidable hinder, because that's such a distraction to have somebody that close to you jumping up in front of your shot.
Well, if Tim holds up, if he just holds up, he's going to get the avoidable hinder. There's no question about it. But it's so difficult.
Well, he should get the avoidable hinder.
Yes.
Whether he does or not is another question. And that's always the risk you run as a player, trying to guess if the referee's going to make the call or not. But he should get the avoidable yes if he just holds up.
Mike Ceresia serving down by 3, side out. That's 3 straight of those side outs. Gives the ball back to Sweeney. But Sweeney has not served since 9-1. And of course, it's now 9 serving 6, so he needs to sort of right himself.
Hold it, stop, play hinder on it.
That was a good call by Mike. He could have ripped him right in the back if he would have really went through with his full backswing.
Serving 6.
So they'll serve it over. Sweeney serving 9-6.
Stop, hold it. He held up his jab. Couldn't take a full backswing. Score is 9, serving 6.
Great change of pace by Tim Sweeney on that jam serve. Set up that whole rally.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know what it is, a jam serve is a ball that goes tight into the sidewall and comes into the person's body, and he got a good setup off of it. The rally went another round further, but here's his next setup, and he just splats it into the back wall and into the sidewall glass. Thank you very much.
You can tell Lynn's never played this game.
Well, one good side for Tim Sweeney sign is the last 3 times that he's served, he has had good serves.
Yes.
They've all been consistently over the line, not where they were short the first 5 times.
After 5 straight points, Sweeney has finally gotten his serve untracked. Cerisia is coming on very strong, but now 2 straight points makes the score 11-6 in game 1.
That was 2 bounces.
Skip ball, point number 12. Whoa, they've had some incredible rallies.
Skip.
Tim Sweeney trying to get Otto's attention.
Well, that's the type of rally Sweeney likes.
The longer the better.
All power, no finesse. He's controlling center court. He's just standing there hitting the ball. Mike's diving all over, getting the ball on 2 bounces.
That was definitely 2, I would say, on that particular call.
But there's no way Otto, in reference to Otto, he cannot see that from his advantage point.
Sweeney fights through, gets the point anyway.
Now right there, I think there was a court hinder, or did they say point?
They said point, I believe.
Okay.
Timeout for Mike.
Timeout called. Looks like an equipment problem for Mike Cerisia. He is down 12-6. That's his last timeout. We'll take a short break and we'll resume game 1 with Sweeney of the United States ahead 12-6.
Want a closer look at Tim Sweeney's 8th service motion? How about a bird's eye view of the power and accuracy of Michelle Gilman? Well, with the AARA Championship Racquetball Videotape Series, you can bring these 5 performances of national champions into your home. Use them for reference or just to enjoy. Grasp the fine points of court positioning in singles and in doubles. Discover the excitement of world-class racquetball. Dozens of national and international matches are available, and to order, all you have to do is call 1-800-234-5396 today.
From Echelon, the most recommended name in racquetball, comes Playing Smart, an exciting new instructional video. A must for anyone who is serious about improving their game. Playing Smart gives you winning game strategies and tips from 8 of the world's top professional players. To order, call 1-800-2TX Monday through Friday between 7 and 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Playing Smart is only $19.95, and the call is free.
9, serving 14. 9-14. Let's play ball.
So we pick up the action in game 1. Mike Cerisia of Canada serving 9-14. He must make his move here. 1 point away from losing game 1. He's been very stingy in the last 6 rallies. There was 5 side outs before Sweeney got the 14th point.
Looks like he's going to hit that Z serve into the glass again.
That was what we would call a sucker serve, in that it was slow and right at Sweeney's chest, and that's one of the most difficult shots to make. And of course it looks like this huge plum, so Sweeney went for it and put it right into the floor.
10-14. Beautiful rollout, 11-14. He's within 3 points of pulling this one out. 4 points of a win.
One of the things that I've noticed in the matches here this past weekend is that players are having a tough time keeping their ceiling balls from coming off the back wall. They're giving away lots of setups, and anything off the back wall like that is a plum setup. And here's Mike taking advantage of that setup. And a beautiful splat into the left corner. So what the players need to do is they need to move their ceiling balls back on the ceiling so that they come up a little bit shorter.
Saricia, point 12. Three straight points.
Tim's trying to overpower that serve, and probably the best move is, like Lynn said, just get it ceiling, just get him back.
If there's no pace on the serve, if there's no speed behind it, then it makes it even harder to hit it hard.
Beautiful shot by Sweeney. Gives him the serve opportunity. He gets it back. He's 1 point away. But now Saricia dangerously close. It's 14-12 in game one.
Well, Tim needs one of those first serves. One of those first serves that just gets over that line, force a weak return.
There it is. Yeah.
Game one win for Tim Sweeney of the United States.
Game number 2 will begin in approximately 2 minutes.
Well, Sweeney finally did it. Saricia, very, very difficult to get past here of late parts of that game one, but here's the game point.
Well, Tim went for the crack serve. He got it up a little bit, but it was still difficult for Mike to get it back. Mike had an opportunity to get this just underneath the ball.
Great extension and diving ability of both players. There's the winner of game one, Tim Sweeney. We'll be back with game two as we continue our World Racquetball Championships from Canada in just a moment.
The preparation, the training, the work of a lifetime. It all comes down to a single moment, now captured in 3 gleaming legal tender Olympic coins, produced by the United States Mint. You can own a treasured memory of Olympic competition and help our U.S. Olympic team on the road to victory. To order these official 1992 U.S. Olympic coins, call 1-800-572-TEAM and celebrate the glory of the games today.
Check in for your next match carrying a bag just like the one the United States national team members use, and let your opponents wonder about your new training methods. Take to the court wearing an official insignia of USA Racquetball on a 100% cotton polo and watch your gallery grow. Official AARA logoed clothing and accessories may not truly help your game improve, but they will get you noticed on and off the court. For prices or to order by credit card, call 1-800-234-5396. Subscribe to Racquetball magazine for $15 a year and receive 6 action-packed issues filled with racquetball news, tournament coverage, current national rankings, and national tournament calendars. You'll also become a member of the American Amateur Racquetball Association and receive your competitive license, an official AARA rulebook, and a free can of Penn racquetballs. Call 1-800-234-5396 today for Racquetball magazine, the very best magazine about your favorite sport.
Hi, 私は日本から来た吉田純一です。よろしくお願いします。
We're back at Nautilus Plus in Anjou, in Canada, just outside of Montreal City. In the province of Quebec, Lee Felsmo, Jim Heiser, and Lynn Adams, and we're all set for game number 2. Now, game number 1 went to the United States, and Tim Sweeney were playing for the team championship. Lynn, when we look over the score, it was a pretty easy first 6 points. Sweeney was out very fast, but once Saricia found a little secret to change his game, he was very tough to beat.
Well, I think if he starts it early this time, instead of wasting maybe 6 or 7 points by trying to go toe-to-toe with Tim, he could come in and make it difficult for Tim right off the bat.
And Jim Heiser, what do the stats tell us about game number 1?
Well, we are about even on kill shots, which is really surprising for me because usually Tim Sweeney has a more go for the bottom board player than Mike Cerisi. Also, only one ace serve for Tim Sweeney. That's very, very unusual. I expect Tim to start cranking on some serves this game and to increase that first serve ace percentage.
Do you think, Jim, that Roger's ability to return serve had anything to do with that? Because it looked like Tim had some good stuff going in there, but somehow Roger just got his racket on.
You mean Mike?
I'm that Mike got his racket on some things.
Well, I think 2 things. These are panel walls, which are a little bit slower, and also the Wilson ball that we're playing with here is not normal. It's not the ball that they usually use on the tour, so it's a little bit slower after they get playing with it. So I think both of those things. But Mike was retrieving very well. That first step, he was getting really well out of the ball.
The score is 0, serving 0.
We pick up action in the men's final. Number 1 seeds from each country, and they're playing in game number 2. Tim Sweeney has already won game 1 15-12, and game 2 just underway.
That was a great serve by Tim. He got just a poke return, but that poke return ended up in a real good spot and didn't allow Tim any swing on the ball. He got all jammed up in the back corner. So that was kind of a nice lucky start by Mike.
Even though Sweeney won game 1, after that 6-0 start, really Cerisi was the more effective player. The final score 15-12 would indicate that Cerisi was really playing a little better than even from that point on. So let's see if he carries that on here in game 2.
Well, mentally, Tim Sweeney thinks he's better in the second game than he is in the first game. He was talking to me prior to the match, saying if I get that first game, he's going to be in trouble.